So this video is going to show you how do we create trigger sections. So for example, if you have a form and that needs a permit to be done, so why should they see the permit details if it's not relevant for them? Vice versa, for people who need to do a permit, they should see the permit details. So think about it as, if I select yes, I should be seeing something, but if no, there's no point in me seeing it. So how do we do these trigger section or hidden sections, if you may call them? So the first thing we got to do is to say, for example, in the work order details in this sample is that we need to add a question, yes, no, or a multiple choice, something that's going to be able to trigger another response. In this case, let's keep it simple, and we're going to do it yes, no, true, false. I add it. It will come at the bottom of my list, and I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to put it right underneath the section title. And it's going to say, do I need a permit? And if the answer is yes, fill out the permit. If the answer is no, then I do not need this permit. So we can see that yes and no. And we can see the advanced features. This is where we're going to use the advanced tab, is that we have the advanced, and we're going to use a smart trigger depending on the answer. Add smart response, but you'll notice, how do we fill in the permit section? Well, before we do this, we have to create the permit section, and that is the trigger section. So all we have to do is click Trigger Sections, and it will come up in blue as a different color, and we're just going to drag this up a bit to make it look in nice, tidy order, and we're going to call this Permit. Let's call it Permit Details. And in this permit detail form, we might need a few items like a single line text and a yes, no, and a multiple choice, just to keep things simple. But I've added them, so where did they go? Well, they're going on the bottom, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them up. And this is why it's important when we first build our forms, is to think through the structure when we're building it, so that we know what elements that we're going to need in the form itself. So now I've added in permit details, and we can say enter the permit type, for example, and we're going to create this one to say, do you have training needed? And this one can be multiple choice, one answer. You can say select classification, and we can create the different choices in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth, whatever you might want to create. So now what we need to do is to say, well, if this is triggered right here, do I need a permit? If they say yes, this should appear. If they say no, this will not appear at all. So what we need to do now is we go back into the question, do I need a permit? And we can see basic, we have yes and we have no. We want it to be yes. So you click the Advanced tab, and we add a smart response to say trigger value is yes. So if it's yes, trigger type permit details. And we can put in some simple instructions to say, please complete permit. And we click this tab to go up. And now we've created a trigger section. So let's have a look and see what this might look like. So we hit the Save Changes, and we're going to go into new activity. But before we do that, we're going to have to create a setup under templates and the teams of where this is going to be. So for example, before we preview this, we're going to notice that work order is in draft mode. So we click this to publish. We have published it, and now we can assign it to a team to say the safety team, who is part of Chris, should also be getting the work order form that we just built, and save changes. So now let's have a look to see what this permit actually looks like. Select template, and I have the work order. I'm not part of a team.